What's up, Tunde? How are you doing today?
I'm fantastic.
So I watched this film last night. Was definitely I didn't know what to expect, going into it because I didn't
Right.
hear a lot of hype around it yet. But when watched it, was definitely a surprise. I didn't go in with any expectations, and I'm not usually a horror fan. But like, what impressed you when you first heard this story and when you first heard about this character?
I mean, ever since I got a script, first of all, Bill Posley, I'm gonna say it right now, he's a genius. He's an amazing. He's going places. Um, I met Bill through a friend of mine, one of the producers of the film, Shin Brown, and it's actually Bill is actually like a stand-up comic as well. Most people don't know that. That's actually how we met. I went to one of his comedy specials, and I was like, "Oh my goodness, this guy is amazing. He has a vision, and I would love to work with him if the opportunity presented itself." And I read the script, and I was just fascinated. I felt like I could relate to the character. I felt like, this character was a symbolism of triumph. Someone being picked on. Like I felt like I could relate to it as well, being picked on as well from being from another country and coming to America and like getting teased and getting not physically bullied, but like just teased about being different and having an accent. So I felt connected right away. And I read the script, it just took me on this incredible roller coaster of like an adventure of like vengeance and justice being served. And I just felt like, yeah, I and the opportunity for me, in this horror space, knowing that they've never been a black mask slasher. I mean, we have, Jason Michael Myers, Freddy Krueger, you have the leather faces of the world, Pennywise, but the Candyman doesn't have a mask on, but they've never been a black masked slasher. And I was like, what an opportunity for me, to be in this position and to be part of sort of like history in the making, honestly, like in this genre. So that's one of the things that connected me to that as well. And it's just a fantastic story. Like I said, Bill and John Cologne.
So Melissa just entered the room and we're talking about their new movie, Bitch Ass. I would love to talk about your relationship with the younger characters of you and the younger actors who play both your characters. So Tunde and Melissa, tell us about, meeting, like, did you get to kind of work with and base, how did you work? What was that relationship basing your characters off each other?
Melissa, please, I'm gonna let you go first. Ladies first.
Let me go first. Oh wow.
Absolutely.
Well, as you know, the process for us was a really quick and short one. So we weren't afforded I wasn't afforded a lot of luxury in terms of getting to know the actress that played my younger self and coordinating with her, but we did have some time. And I told a story the other night at our premiere about one specific incident she was very curious about because she was smoking as a teenager and I smoke as an adult. And she wanted to know how I held my cigarette, and I think that was a key element because it suggests how, kind of how you feel and think of yourself. And I think for a younger Marcia, there's a lot of beautiful confidence and stuff in her. And then I think she got to see some footage, and I think that was the same for Tunde, who can speak for himself, but I got to see some footage and coordinate that way. But for us, we just got to talk and we hit it off instantly and fell in love with the fact that he cast two actors that have gaps in their teeth.
I mean, the relationship between my character Bitches and Marcia is a special one. Obviously, after watching the film, you will find out how Bitch as a character really felt about Melissa in high school. They have sort of like this connection, this bond, unbreakable bond. She was the only one that saw sort of like a humanity in this character early on. So he held on to that. That was the only thing that he had hopes of. And he held on to that and to the love and to the affection that, that he had on that character. So basically, I don't want to spoil it, but like, 20 years later and throughout the movie, we'll find out exactly how, Marcia was instrumental in actually, sort of like being sort of like one of the reasons why this character became like a monster, not directly, but indirectly, she had a little bit of influence on that character.
And Lisa, your character is kind of the heroine of this story, right? She's the kind of the badass tough one, but she's also super empathetic. Tell me about like internalizing your character and building that.
Wow. First of all, as soon as I read, it gets me a little emotional now, but as soon as I read the script and became familiar with Marcia, I instantly fell in love with her and her. I mean, you said it. Her empathy and how much she loved her son. Like she would go to the moon and back if she had to, fighting for this kid. And I don't know that we see enough of that, for Black mothers, on screen. We often see so much about our plights and things like that, but really, in spite of the plight and her circumstances, her love of her kid never wavered. And so that was the thing that instantly drew me in. And also understanding that this was going to be something that happened very quickly. I was like, oh my God, this is going to be a great kind of boot camp, to be on screen. I'm a stage actor from New York. So, wanting to dig my heels in and do more film and television. So that was awesome. The fact that it was horror. And I don't even know if I'm allowed to, the script, the initial script that I read wasn't the same as what the movie became, and I was saddened by how the initial script. I don't know if I can say what happens to Marcia and how her story unfolds in the initial one. But my God, when I got the the revised version, I'm like, oh man, this is just awesome. All the stuff I get to do in the movie, and it's just great. So. And developing Marcia, I'd like to think that I'm a fairly empathetic person. I would have been the kid that would have been bitch ass's friend. And so I wanted to be her on screen as well.
That's beautiful. And that's super cool how you guys are able to kind of develop and, build on these original characters that, we would probably love to see more of. And we'll just let the audience watch this movie and kind of see their reactions. I don't want to say anything beyond that. So if as last question for both of you, so Bitch Ass has this kind of really intensity, especially in his love for games. If Bitch Ass is chasing you and about to kill you, but he offers you your last game, what game are you going to try to challenge him to?
Today?
For me, you mean like in the film or like any single game whatsoever?
Yeah. So you're playing against your character. What game are you going to play? Any game in the film or any game that you play?
In the film, I love Mayday because I felt like that game was very cerebral. It gets into the mind of his victims. It plays this, evil genius. So I love the psychology of that game. Just very creepy and very, just like I said, it just gets so ingrained in like the psychology of his victims. And playing mind games is what Bitch Ass does. So I would say Mayday. Mayday for sure.
And then Melissa, what game would you play?
Well, the funny thing is, I was just thinking, my game isn't a two-person game, but I'd love to challenge Bitch Ass in some spades. What you know about spades?
Yeah. Spades
yeah, that would that's probably my all-time favorite.
my game's Connect 4, Drop 4. So like
Oh, man.
I think I would survive if I got Connect 4, but any other game, I don't know, it'd be a challenge.
Its second close would be like rock paper scissors though, because that's
Oh,
one of
you
the
like that?
best.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Oh, well, all
And
your stuff in
that's-
this movie then. That's dope.
I know, because
I
that's
love it.
literally like based on luck, honestly. So
Mm.
it could be anybody's game. So
Oh, that's true. That's very
yeah.
true. Yeah.
Well, awesome. Well, I know we're going to see both of you more in, other projects and perhaps, future projects with follow-up films or whatever. But thanks so much for taking the time.
Thank you, Joe.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hey, Joe.
How are you doing?
Good. How are you doing?
I'm doing great today. I just watched this movie last night. It was I didn't have like any expectations going in, but surprised me. I'm not usually a horror fan, but the story and characters and kind of the intrigue with the games and everything just really captivated me. So I bet you've been getting a lot of like broad questions. I have some like more specific questions today.
Great.
I love like the themes in terms of like the darkness and kind of the religious themes on the other side, with the Christianity and the grandma stuff. Tell me about why you guys decide to kind of develop both sides of those things.
Yeah. I grew up going to Catholic school. Like, so I legitimately like was in this was the space that, that I was absolutely in. And so one of the things that we wanted to play around with the both sides is that you have this character where like nowhere feels safe. Like neither side felt like they had a good handle on what was right. Like when he was outside of his house, he was being bullied and picked on and told to be a certain way. And then inside of the house, under the guise of obviously religion, he was also being told to do this and behave a certain way and all of that stuff. And just the type of person that is created out of both of those parameters is somebody we wanted to explore, like their complexities, what suppression looks like when it is completely let free. And so we wanted to show different ways that this character was being suppressed, because we didn't want it to be like, oh, well, the home life is so great, but outside's not. So at least he has that to fall back on, or outside's so great when the home life isn't, blah, blah. So we were like, how do we complicate both areas of this character's life?
I love that. And I like the younger version of this character. A bitch ass character is like really, like there's so much like you're drawn to him and you care about him and you're like, oh, he seems like a cool, like I would love to go play games with him, and then you develop him real well. I love to hear about your origin. So like I grew up in Massachusetts as well. You grew up in Springfield, correct?
Yes.
So there's not a lot of filmmakers like I feel like in right now coming out of Massachusetts. What as you're young, as you've grown up, what was some of the things that were influencing you that developed you into the filmmaker you are now?
Yeah, I couldn't agree more with you about the message. Well, especially, I mean, maybe if you're in like the bigger city like Boston or something like that, you hear about it. But when you're on the outskirts of that, the film industry, any kind of filming seems like so like you like don't even know. I don't even know what part you're from, but like it just seems so out of your reach. It seems like so far away. Movies that inspired me growing up, God, man. So first and foremost, I am like I will find the good in any movie. I am somebody who goes to the theater to love it. Like you already have a fan the minute I walk in the door. When it comes to like all People Under the Stairs, right? Like I remember watching that for the first time, and it was the first movie that made me like love horror. Like that was like the first movie that made me like love, oh my God, horror. Who Framed Roger Rabbit? That was the first movie I was like, repeat. I could watch over and over and over again. Inspired me to be the filmmaker that I am today. Oh, God, Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. I mean, like Michel Gondry, just in general, like just the risks, the ability to take chances, the play. Like I think as a filmmaker, I think at the end of the day, I want I want the audience to be having fun, but I also want people to be like, oh, this dude had fun making this movie. And I think that those are the things that I think we're drawn to on screen as well, is like things you're like, oh man, it looks like whoever made this movie, they had a blast. And so like I really, really love that kind of storytelling.
And I love that optimistic perspective of how you look at film. And it's like all these things influence us, you know, through growing up, and then we're able to put those in our art. Tell me about working on set with Tony Todd. You watching, like, last night I was watching the movie, like I was absolutely like hooked right away, because you know it's so like just his performance at the beginning is riveting. Tell me about how much time do you have to film on set with him, and what was working on set with him like?
So Tony's from Hartford.
Yeah.
So I was like, you know, as soon as me and him connected on that, it was like really crazy, because when you're from Springfield, Hartford's your twin city, basically.
Yeah, I was up in Rollston, so it's like an hour north of Springfield. So yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah. So Bradley International Airport is where we fly out of, so it's also Hartford. So we had Tony for a very limited time, right? So we had him for 4 hours total, so we could only shoot him for like, by the time he got there, hair, makeup, us setting up, all that stuff, we really only had him for an hour. And I mean, when he walked on set, everybody's like, we're walking on eggshells. We are just like, okay, Tony's here. Everybody look cool. Look like you know what you're doing. Be professional. And then, you know, he sits down in the thing. He looks at the space, his piano. He's like, I'd have a glass of wine here. And we're just like, go get him wine. Somebody go get him wine now. Not for him to drink, just he felt like the character would have it, you know? And we were like, put a glass of wine up there. He's like, yeah, there should be a red here. And we were like, okay, great. And then action, and we do the first take, and he says the speech, nails it word for word perfect. And we're all just staring, mouth open, staring. So long that it got weird. And I was so mesmerized and such a fan, I forgot to yell cut. So I'm like, oh, cut, oops, cut. Do you want to do it again? And he's like, yeah, we should do it again. I'm like, yeah, we should do it again. Cool. All right, great. So he was completely professional, completely supportive, just a consummate actor. Like, mwah. He because of him, the tone of the movie is set. And allows you to go in and not take it so seriously. It allows you to have fun with it, and it's great. I
love that. And the locations also feed the story so much. Like, tell me about, where did you guys do most of the filming, and tell me about how you really created those locations to really feed into the story.
Yeah, so we shot 3 different locations. There's a warehouse that we built the sets on. So that was all the like gameplay, game room stuff. Then we found a house in Los Angeles that was almost like literally like a museum. We were like, oh, as soon as we walked in, we were like, oh, this is a grandma's house. You can't touch anything. You can't move around. You can't do anything. And it just was like historic, and it was great, and it was amazing. And then the last house was a woman named Michelle Person. Her house, she was great. That was in South Los Angeles. And those 2 houses just like were in the neighborhood we wanted it to be in, of the time we wanted it to be in. And we got a chance to use her places, and they just rocked. It was awesome. And to see like, you know, young Black kids in those neighborhoods riding around being like, what are you guys doing? What are you shooting? And like being able to be like, oh, it's a horror movie. And they're like, who is it? And we're like, can we say bitch ass in front of them? I don't know. Like, we're trying to, say, but it was like so much fun.
I love that. Well, thank you so much, Bill. We're excited to see, for more people to see this film, and we're excited for whatever you create next.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
All right. Take care.